Before you trust your legal matters to an attorney, how can you be sure they're actually legit? Hiring the wrong person could completely derail your case. So, stay tuned to learn how you can verify an attorney's credentials swiftly and effortlessly right here in Indiana.
Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Here is our exact roadmap for verifying an attorney today. We are going to cover why bar status matters, how to use the role of attorneys, uncovering disciplinary history, avoiding some really common search mistakes, navigating federal courts, and we'll wrap up with some final best practices.
All right, Section 1, Why Bar Status Matters and the Real Risks of Unverified Counsel. Think about it for a second. How sure are you about your attorney? Trusting someone with your legal matters is a huge deal. Here in Indiana, the oversight of legal practitioners falls under the exclusive jurisdiction of the Indiana Supreme Court. So, hiring an unlicensed, suspended, or delinquent practitioner, that can absolutely ruin your case. In fact, if an attorney even attempts to practice law while their license is suspended, they're literally committing the unauthorized practice of law.
So, what exactly are we looking for when we check? We want the gold standard, which is active and good standing. This means they are fully compliant with the Indiana Supreme Court's rigorous rules. They've paid their annual registration fee of $180, they've completed their IOLT certification for handling client funds, and they have full authorization to practice law. It is the ultimate green light.
Moving on to Section 2, the role of attorneys, which is going to be your primary verification tool.
The absolute core solution for this is the official database maintained by the Office of Judicial Administration. The Indiana Supreme Court makes this process incredibly straightforward right from your web browser, and the best part is it's completely free. You just visit courtapps.in.gov/roll of attorneys. You have to enter their last name, first name or city are optional but definitely helpful, and from there you can instantly review their official license status and history.
And you know, the system is surprisingly smart. Let's say you're looking for an attorney who recently changed their name due to marriage. If you do a search for a maiden name, like our fictional example Sandy Day, her name will actually appear in italics. The database brilliantly links it directly to her current legal name, Sandy O'Connor, so you don't just hit a frustrating dead end. Now you can also search by their unique attorney number. Every single attorney licensed in Indiana is assigned this number for their entire career. And here's a fun little fact. Those last 2 digits actually reveal the county they lived in when they were originally admitted to the bar. Kind of a neat piece of trivia.
Okay, Section 3, Uncovering Disciplinary History. We need to look past just their active status.
The Disciplinary Commission uses a graduated continuum of sanctions when lawyers break the rules, usually for things like trust account violations or just completely neglecting client matters. These sanctions range from private reprimands all the way up to permanent disbarment, which completely revokes their license to practice in Indiana forever.
The really crucial thing to understand here is knowing when you are actually allowed to see this disciplinary history. Initial investigations are strictly confidential, and that's just to prevent reputational damage from false allegations. But if an investigation establishes probable cause and formal charges are filed against the attorney, it instantly becomes a public record that you have every right to see.
There is a slight catch you need to be aware of, though. The online roll of attorneys only shows public discipline dating back to July 1986. It also isn't going to show active litigation on pending verified complaints. For that, you'd actually have to search the state's mycase.in.gov portal. So if you're looking for older records or you want to ask about pending charges, your best bet is to call the appellate clerk's office directly at 317-232-1930.
All right, Section 4, Avoiding Common Search Mistakes. Let's talk about registries versus associations.
There is a massive difference between the mandatory role of attorneys, the voluntary ISBA directory, and the corporate INBiz registry. Look, the role of attorneys is governed by the Supreme Court and covers literally every licensed lawyer. The Indiana State Bar Association directory, on the other hand, only covers a voluntary subset of lawyers who actually pay for a membership. And INBiz, that's run by the Secretary of State purely for business entities. We see this misconception happen all the time. People go to the Indiana State Bar Association website, they click Locate Your Lawyer, and then they absolutely panic when they don't see their attorney listed. But listen, not finding a lawyer on that website does not mean they aren't licensed. Membership there is totally optional. You absolutely must rely on the role of attorneys for their official license status.
Section 5, Federal Courts and Certificates. What happens when your case goes beyond state lines?
This is a really critical distinction to make. State admission does not automatically grant federal admission. Even if your lawyer is in perfect standing with the Indiana Supreme Court, you still have to verify their standing separately with the specific federal district courts, like the Northern or Southern Districts of Indiana if your case is federal. They operate entirely independent registries.
And getting a federal certificate of good standing requires different steps depending on which district you're in. In the Northern District, registered attorneys have to log into their electronic CM/ECF portal. For the Southern District, you actually have to submit a formal written request via email or mail directly to the clerk's office. Finally, Section 6, Final Tips and Disclaimer. Let's make sure you're protecting your legal journey.
Here is your ultimate checklist moving forward. Always make verification your very first step before signing any contracts. Cross-check those online records with the clerk's office if you want total peace of mind. Make sure to keep an eye on their status regularly during long-term cases, because believe it or not, suspensions can happen mid-case. If you need physical proof, ask your attorney to download their official certificate of good standing from their court's portal. And lastly, if you are a third party trying to request a formal disciplinary history document from the state, you are going to need them to sign a consent form first because of privacy rules.
Real quick before you wrap up, please remember that this explainer is strictly for educational purposes. It does not constitute legal advice, so you should definitely consult a professional for your specific legal needs.
I want to leave you with this final thought. The official tools to protect yourself and protect your case are completely free. They're super easy to navigate, and they are sitting online right now. So, have you verified your legal representation today?